All right, I have two questions. One, how would you define consciousness really? I know you've spoken about it so much because we're all sitting here. We're not asleep. We're not at cold. We're not in a coma. We're conscious.
That's a good point. Consciousness is the ability you have to think beyond your limitation. That's what consciousness is.
Scientists are still trying to figure out human limits. How can you...
No. Scientists, real scientists, quantum scientists know that humans have no limits. The biology of the mind, you start to read things like Dr. Ratty's work out of Harvard University. We realize that this is all a concept that we fabricated to give people a sense of security. That there's beginning and there ends. There's no such thing as beginning, and there's no such thing as ends. That there's a continuum in life. And consciousness is getting to the point where you understand that we don't have to start and end somewhere. And so consciousness is no limitation. That's what it is. The title of my longevity book is Living Life Without What? Limits. That's it. And that's where we all want to get. So what's the second point?
And also,
smart kid. You're not asking this question.
You said that all animals that aren't domesticated and aren't humans eat raw, like natural
All
diet.
animals
Yes,
who haven't been displaced, or domestic.
And what about a carnivore?
They eat raw meat. They eat raw food.
They don't cook it.
We don't take our carnivores, sadly, and give them raw meat. But the rare people I know that have the courage to take organ meat and feed it to their cats and dogs are much healthier, you do. How old is your dog now?
One is 11 and one is 9, and they look like they're puppies.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. When you feed them what they're supposed to eat. So all animals in nature, before humans came and screwed everything up, would eat organ meats and eat raw food. So if they're carnivores, you're not one. The carnivores eat, they need. I'm not a guy who thinks we should make carnivores vegans. That's a cute idea, but they're going to get sick.
I just want to add something to that. All carnivores only eat vegetarian animals. They eat the intestines first,
Exactly.
which is the pre-digested grasses, the chlorophyll. So at the zoos, when they gave them steaks, they all were sick and tired.
Did you hear what he said?
They were in
Stand up and say
Nigeria.
it. Stand up and say it.
In Nigeria, they never give steaks to animals. Never. They give them a whole animal, the tiger or lion. In this country, they were all getting sick and tired because of the...
At the zoo.
Yeah,
They were giving them steak, not the organ meats, and they were all dying prematurely and getting sick.
Do you know the difference in age of death of gorilla who live in the wilderness and the one
No,
who
tell
live
me
at
that.
the zoo? I don't know. I just...
I'd like to know. I don't know that. But gorillas are, I mean, to give an example, gorillas are unbelievably strong. The strongest creature pound for pound on Earth. You know what they live on? Not fruit. They live on sprouts. You put them out in nature, they pick the sprout of the plant up and they'll eat that first. So they sit all day long, and I mean, one of the places I like to hang out down in Florida is at the Busch Gardens in Tampa. Did you ever go to there? Yeah. Gorilla thing? I just sit there for hours watching those gorillas and saying, can you believe, and we think of them as dumb. They are completely tuned in what's going on. Completely tuned in. And you don't want to mess with them. Yes?
I would like to incorporate.
Yes.
I've heard some things about the sublingual B vitamins, but it looks like a lot of them have either lactose or sugar. Is there one that you recommend better than others?
Yeah, well, number one, let's talk about B12. Because everyone needs B12. There's not a person on the planet now, we've been doing studies for a few years, that doesn't need to take a bacterial form of B12 daily. On the back table there, do we have any left?
Yes.
We have B12. It's the only form of bacterial B12 we know of on the planet. Every other is a chemical, and you're correct. They grow it on some kind of a sugar. And that's how they culture it. So that's that. Now grant you, when they grow it on a sugar properly, it's eaten away the sugar. But still, on the other hand, it doesn't work. So we've done studies to see if it enters the cell. Floating around in the blood, but it doesn't enter the cell. So other B vitamins, you shouldn't look at supplements unless you have a high stress life. You should at that point be looking at sprouted grains. Not only the wheatgrasses, but a wide variety of sprouted grains. There's nothing like that to get B vitamins from. B12 is not a B vitamin because we didn't have a category called probiotics 80 years ago when we discovered this. We threw it in the B category.
What
Yes.
about green smoothies, Brian?
That's what I was going to ask. Because like Victoria Butanko found that after all these years that she had reversals till she got to the green smoothies. What's your take on that?
Well, if you want to take recreational food, a green smoothie is a good recreational food. You want nutrition, you want juice. So let's explain the difference. And I love Victoria, and she's a wonderful, cute lady. Now what happens in a blender, and the better the blender you have, the more this happens, is that you take the cells of a plant and you split them thousands of times a minute. You heat them up, split them, now the blood of the plant, where the nutrition is, pours out. Then inherently in a blender, you blow oxygen through it. That's called oxidization. So we're clear that if you blend for 3 minutes, that you're going to lose 85 to 92% of the nutrition. So it's a recreational food. Okay. And she's a wonderful lady. She's not a scientist.
Who is she?
That's a whole other story. Okay. Here we go. A juicer that's proper today, with augers, 2 augers that come together like the teeth do. They mimic the teeth. They take the greens and they press them, and now the juice comes out. But even there, you have to drink that juice right away is ideal, but certainly don't let it sit 15 minutes, because at that point it's oxidized also. It just doesn't oxidize as quick as putting it in an oxygen-filled blender, blowing it around, heating up the stuff and splitting the cells. Now, just like I told the lady on natural hygiene, is this a better diet than the American diet? Yes. The other problem is this. There are some things we can't change in medical science. This is one of them that we totally agree with. That 90% of your diet should be carbohydrates. Now what does that mean? Potato breads and cake? No. What we're talking about is vegetables, sprouted grains, sprouted beans, and limited amounts of fruit, if at all. They're carbohydrates. What we know is 80% of carbohydrates digest in the human mouth. Now, how many of you here honestly think you chew well enough all the time? Look around. One person, because I don't. I find myself teaching people to chew, and this is the one thing I still struggle with. I'm on the phone, I have my salad. I ate a salad in the car waiting to come in here today. I never know where I'm going to go, so I have to carry food with me all the time. And so, bottom line is, you're always chewing, and you're on the phone and talking like some crazy person, and you don't chew well enough. So if you don't chew well enough, do you think you digest well? Now let's go back to blending, or the new hip where it's green smoothies. Now we take something and kill 85 to 90% of it. Now we put it in the mouth, and everyone here just agreed that it's hard enough for us to eat solid food and chew it. What the heck are you going to do with something that's a liquid now? You're going to swallow it. So you think you're going to digest very much at all of the 10% that's left? No. Now, is it better than the other? Sure, it's better than soda.
But you're drinking the juice and not chewing that.
You're drinking 90% dead food.
No, I'm talking about
juice.
when you
make
make
a juice.
juices.
Correct.
You're still just drinking
But it doesn't matter. If you don't chew juice at all, it's going to be absorbed into the cell. Now, it's the perfect world, and I still don't do this, try to, but I don't, is you put juice in your mouth and chew it. But the fact is, even if you don't do that, it's going to go into the cell. Because the pre-digestion process has happened. And those people who sell things like Vitamix and lie to you and tell you that you need all the roughage, but we're not hoping that you only take juice in your life. We're hoping you eat salads. We're hoping you eat solid food. That's all the roughage you need. What you're taking juice for is quite therapeutic reasons. You're not taking juice to fill yourself up with something that you can't digest after you've blended it and after you don't chew it well enough. Yes?
How do you eat the sprouts? Raw, cooked?
Always raw, number one. And you can put them in salad. You can put them in juicers. Some people, as I did at the beginning, I just didn't have money to buy a juicer. Hated sprouts. I hated them. I used to look at a sprout and shake. But if you have money and have that, juice the things.
And you buy them at the store?
If you want to spend a lot more money than you should, but you can grow them too. But if you have money, I'm happy for that economy. I hope they should charge $30 a pallet for wheatgrass, because it's the best medicine in the world. So yes, you can buy it, and it's going to be good. I mean, places like this, these are completely beautiful grasses and sprouts you have here.